the WhatsApp.
This is propaganda.
The WhatsApp and the data charges. Oh, I mean, already the data. Oh, I'm saying text all the people you can text after a while.
When I close and open my eye one, then there's a problem.
After a while,
and the people have been compelling me to watch some money something.
Money Heist.
Yeah, so
on Netflix.
Yeah, it is draining everything. So I've stopped it.
I can't identify with those problems. I'm sorry.
He has crossed carpet from being a socialist.
Oh, I'm for the people still.
You are for the people.
Yes.
You know what? Let's get an understanding of what we are supposed to pay. Okay.
Communication service tax. The communication service tax was introduced in 2008 at an ad valorem rate of 6%. The tax is levied on charges payable by consumers for the use of communication services. Government proposes to increase the tax. Government proposes to increase the tax to 9% to develop the foundation for the creation of a viable technology ecosystem in the country from 6%.
Ochamion Nimkasa, Osena Nawasumwa. Let's do the front pages now.
Yes, the Ghanaian Times is reporting this morning at the media budget review, government halts take or pay power deals to renegotiate all contracts. There's also on the front pages, media budget is in position of hardship. There's a minority and fuel prices to go up. And one interesting part, since all of this is happening and fuel price likely to go up, top 10 most competitive fuel retail prices. I'll give you that list later on.
Okay.
This is the media budget review edition of the news review, right?
Okay.
So graphic
the
business
media budget news review.
So graphic business front page, media fiscal policy review, taxes to the rescue. Government plans to spend additional 6.37 billion. Other stories on the front page of the graphic business. Graphic business Stanbic Bank Forum on August 6th. Bond CEO rallies support for microfinance sector, and 44 companies and individuals honored at an insurance awards.
Now the Chronicle puts it this way: Cantown Cross luxury vehicle tax dropped, and there's also a story about I don't have faith in Nigerian envoy. Kidnapper is the one speaking there, and Akufo-Addo calls for stronger industrial ties with the US, and Mahama power deals suffocate economy. Oforiatta tells Parliament. That's on the front page of the Chronicle.
The New Crusading Guide newspaper is on the budget review yesterday. 2.7 billion Ghana cedis savings made by government after reviewing doubtful contracts. That's according to Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta. Let's build trade relations, as Akufo-Addo telling U.S. House Speaker Osu Manche cautions business owners and others over Osu's two lands.
Now the Daily Guide is reporting this morning 181 one district, one factory projects are currently ongoing, different stages of completion. You know, sometimes I used to say that
about to begin, or what they have reached.
No, different stages of completion has always been the buzzwords.
Oh, no,
you remember the 200?
Previously, it was that they have been given the go-ahead to, what do you call it, start.
You want the stages of 1D,
expression of interest.
Expression of interest. Then accreditation. Do you remember accreditation?
Yeah, then financial rationalization.
Before accreditation, there was feasibility study. Do you remember feasibility study?
Yeah.
Then there was accreditation. Then funds were released. Now there are various stages of completion. But they've gone further because apparently some 57 were in operation as of the end last year.
Okay, so the Daily Guide is just talking about 181, which is at different stages of completion. At least we know that's supposed to be the case now. Of course, MPs clash over DC elections, and that debate preceded the media review yesterday. There's also a story for the cash for roads are now ready. You know the long list of roads that the finance minister gave out in the main budget last year.
Yeah,
the money to make sure that the roads are done are now ready. So wherever you live, if you're on, just go back to the old budget. Look out for the places. If your own was in the list, not add to the list. You know, we don't want to come on.
No.
we don't want to come back with the media review, another media review again. Last year or last quarter review, please. So if your name is on the list, you get your road properly.
No, so that means that, Raymond, if government, I'm just asking this for academic reasons, if government wants to spend more than this 85 billion, they have to go back to Parliament.
Yes, you can't spend more.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was down to the PESWA. So if they want to add one PESWA.
Yes, because mostly appropriation is done by Parliament,
Okay.
you need the legislature saying that you can go ahead and
approve
spend.
before
Yes,
you
actually
can spend
against
it.
the law.
More than the
For you
peswa
to-
that is at the end, no?
Yes,
Hey,
but
Charlie,
no, in
the
Africa we do things different. You can't even.
It's one of the checks and balances we have. Whether or not it is effective and efficient, we are not
we
saying.
are going to seek approval. Oh man, don't do
The
that.
Daily Statesman newspaper has a couple of stories on its front page. Take or pay power deals drag back the economy, says Finance Minister. We've made big progress. The Finance Minister is saying Ghana's future is bright under the MPP. Ghana seeks progressive agenda with the United States. Those are the stories on the front page of the Daily Statesman newspaper.
Now, the Finder is the very last paper before me, and the Finder is reporting this morning the same energy debt choke economy, and there's one about government seeking some 6.3 billion from the people of this republic to be able to spend and top tax. Energy sector levies go up. Court throws out plaintiffs in Dentra Palace case, and those are the stories on the front page of the Finder
My last
this morning.
paper is the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghana's peacekeeping role commendable. That's Nancy Pelosi, U.S. House Speaker, saying energy sector poses challenges. Raymond has done this. Anti-slavery organizations, laws, governments. Ghana's fight against child trafficking. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Take measures to restore fish stocks, and Wulugu Health Center receives medical supplies, gets NHIS accreditation.
Okay.
So fuel prices going up by how much?
Yes, and let me just break it down this way. About 1 cedi per gallon for petrol. And when it comes to specifically the gas part, the LPG, for the 14.5 kg cylinder, we're having 1.7, actually 1 cedi 70 pesos increase in this case. Of course, the lower kilograms will surely have lower increases in this particular case. I hope you understand the difference here. So for petrol specifically, we are having petrol diesel. It's 90 pesos, 90, a little bit over 90 pesos, so almost 1 cedi increase in the current per gallon. Not per
gallon.
liter.
That's 4.4 liters.
Yes.
Okay.
Not per liter in this particular case. So that's how your fuel price is going to go. Of course, I mean, people are talking about how that will affect transportation. That also makes sure that it affects other cost of living. If you plan, let's say you're a public worker and they gave you 10% increase in your salary from beginning before this year started, how are you going to make up for all of the other changes in
Ray,
there?
do you know how I won the calculation?
Yes.
If I was filling my tank with 300 cedis, how much do I need to fill my tank now?
If you're
I
filling,
want you to compute it in that way for me.
okay, now if you're filling your tank with 300 cedis, then you most likely I'm not getting the point. That in this case,
What's the percentage increase to the price of fuel? What's 90 pesos against what?
90 pesos against what's used to 5.01, and of course it ranges between 4.49.
So 5.01 should be
5.01.
about 20%.
Yes.
So if I used to fill my tank with 300 cedis, 20% of that is about 600 cedis.
Yes.
So it'll be about 60 cedis, so about 360 cedis.
Yeah.
So if I used to fill my
Around
tank
that end. Yes, that's
for
true.
100 cedis, I'm now looking at about 120 cedis.
Minority leader says that he expects a demonstration on this one.
From
Because
organized
when-
labor.
Because when ESLA was being introduced, there was actually a nationwide protest strike. Actually, he thinks that it is only fair that there's a certain level of consistency. Just as organized labor at the time staged this protest and even went on a strike, if ESLA is being increased, which will have a cascading effect on the price of petroleum products, as Raymond has pointed out, then he expects that
Do you
organized labor.
remember the pressure group that held the press conference when the petrol price was going up in the NDC era? Oh, our very old committee for joint action.
Yeah.
No, they will not demonstrate. Do you remember Kwesi Pratt?
Yeah. Said
addressed
the
that
chance
news
of
conference?
demonstration. Said
Said
others
they
could
will
take it up.
not demonstrate because the increment in fuel pricing was not as exorbitant as it was in the.
But I mean, I have a difficulty, and there's a point that gets me a bit worried. The basis for the increment in this particular case. First, when we introduced ESLA, it was 24%.
Good.
Then the finance minister tells us because of inflation and exchange rate depreciation, factors that I'm not sure we are the ones who contributed to it. Because of that, it dwindled to 17%. So they are bringing it back up to 21%. So as we speak, whichever fuel you are buying, 21% is based out of taxes. You get that?
Okay.
So that's the logic in this particular case.
21%.
Yes, it was 24%. inflation and exchange rate, as in the CD depreciation, brought it down to 17%. I want to bring it back up so that we can make up for the difference. Now, the other tax that's also gone up, that's an interesting development in there, is the talk tax. In this case, it was 6% when we introduced in 2008.
Okay.
Now, we have pushed it to 9%. This is almost like 50% increase in this case. And that's where the complaint about, the WhatsApp and the data charges and the differences that are supposed to be made along the line is going to be there. Now, my difficulty with that part too is why they are saying that we should be tough for them to go and fight cyber crimes and also do money laundering. Up until that time, were we not, because originally the communication service tax was to provide jobs for young people. If I was to support the youth employment program, that was the entire basis for it. And many of us agreed because at that time in 2008, don't forget, in 2005, there had been a national security report that suggested that unemployment, especially by the youth, was a big issue. So a tax to make sure we employ young people was a good thing. I don't know why we are now moving a little bit away from that and using it to take care of other things like...
It was not without opposition as well.
Brilliant.
I remember Benjamin Kumbo telling the finance minister at the time that he should take the tax to Osu and see whether he will bring it back to parliament. And Minority Leader Alban Bagbeni said that government felt that the Ghanaian people were complaining too much, so government was going to impose hardship on them so that they would stop complaining. They were talking too much.
What my concern is that if you are increasing it by about 50, that tax alone by about 50%, to go and fight digital cybercrime, what exactly are you going to do in this space? Are you going to set up a digital forensic lab like Dr. Gustav Janssen or the cybercrime unit of the Ghana Police Service has said that they don't have? Are you going to train more police personnel? Like, what exactly is going to be done?
Are you going to educate the public on how to be, wonderful on the internet
when the money comes?
That is when we can drill down to whether or not the tax that we are paying, it is delivering what exactly we want it to.
But in the meantime, I've stopped watching that thing anyway.
Let's stay with the budget presentation yesterday. And this one, we are talking about savings. The finance minister announced yesterday that the government in the last 31 months has been able to save 2.75 billion on account of doubtful contract. These are contracts that were awarded, and the Public Procurement Authority reviewed those contracts and on the basis of views made savings. And he broke down the numbers this way. In 2017, the savings that were made by the Public Procurement Authority on account of reviewing contracts that were padded and inflated amounted to 800 million. In 2018, the figure actually went up to 1.1 billion. Then this year, they've made 1.095 billion. That's the savings that has been made, 1.085 billion. This year alone. He said when you put all of this together, you get the 2.75 billion that savings have been made. He compares that to the previous 3 years before, and he says that in 2014, 2015 and 2016, no such savings was made at all. He thinks that government deserves commendation on account of this. Now, very related to this is the removal of the luxury vehicle tax that actually got a demonstration by Raymond and friends saying that it was not fair that the government imposed this tax on vehicles with 2.9 liters and above.
Yes.
Basically 3.0 liters and above. Those were the category of vehicles that attracted this tax, and there were all of these complaints. Even automobile dealers complained at the time. There were complaints that trucks were all caught up in this, and trucks were not luxury vehicles, and therefore it didn't make sense that the tax was not properly thought through. Government yesterday, the finance minister yesterday said that the government is a listening government, and having listened to suggestions, a proposal is being made to Parliament to withdraw the tax. And therefore, I think it was one of the most celebrated decisions yesterday on social media after it was announced by the finance minister.
Because it was one of the most opposed when it was put out initially.
And Kuku Kwating, who is the deputy finance minister, subsequently said on Top Story on this network that the government realized that they were not making the amounts that they thought the tax would bring. And therefore, the implementation was difficult, was fraught with all kinds of challenges.
Actually, that's the definition of a nuisance tax. When you put it there, it doesn't raise any amount of money.
And having
It's
having removed the litany of nuisance taxes in 2017, there was no need in imposing a similar nuisance tax in July 2018, because this was imposed last year during the budget review as this year.
Let's go back to fuel prices, Raymond, because you have the top 10 most competitive fuel retail prices.
Yes, now that you know you are paying 21% of your fuel price build up for tax, you sure would want to know of these institutions. According to the Ghanaian Times, specifically, institutions specifically like Zen Petroleum is actually selling, as of yesterday, at 4.8. Now, So Energy is number 2, Benap is there, Frames, Goodness, Pacific, Nasoma, Sementia, Star Oil, Petroland, Nick, Glory, Petrosol, Cash Oil, and Maxon. This, according to the Ghanaian Times, are the most competitive when it comes to fuel retail price. So probably you may know where to go. Those above the 5 line, those below the 5 line are the Zen Petroleum and the So Energy grouping. The other 10 I just mentioned to you clearly. And when it comes to diesel, it's basically within the same range for these ones too. But if I stay in the energy sector, now one of the things that was a very big issue which the finance minister raised was the revolution required in the energy sector, specifically when it comes to dealing with IPPs and how much we are losing. What the details are pretty much clear. Ghana is paying 2.5 billion Ghana cedis, and that's almost like $500 million for power generation that is not needed. 60% of the 2,300 megawatts take or pay power has not been consumed at all. So that's why it's not needed in this case. So 60% of the power generation that we are paying for is not needed in any way. On the other side, the interesting development is that the country is struggling with a high level of net sector arrears of some $2.7 billion, which is 14 billion as of January 2019, this year, as of the beginning of the year. And you know we are raising 6.3 billion. The entire reason why the finance minister went to parliament was to help us raise 6.3 billion. 5 billion out of the 6.3 billion is purely going to the energy sector and to be used in paying specific debt. So that's how serious the situation is.
Very serious.
Almost 90% of the amount of money we are raising, the reason why the man took his bag and went to parliament to demand 6.3 billion extra.
His brown bag, you mean?
Yes. The reason why he took it to parliament, we are going to use to pay debt in the energy sector. Government is saying that we are going to reform the system in a much more revolutionary way. How are we going to do this? We are going to make sure that all take or pay contracts will be renegotiated to convert them to take and pay. And this basically will mean that government has decided to suspend indefinitely or terminate all power purchase agreements currently under negotiation, and also to make sure that they seek ratification before they do so. The other point government also is a moratorium on signing new plans and the other details. There's also one that we should be interested in, our energy mix. Now, the minister also emphasized the need to significantly shift in the medium term the energy mix to gas and renewables. So in our medium-term thinking, we want to make sure that we are not heavily reliant on the crude and the other options that are more expensive in this case. I have seen a letter dated somewhere in 2016, which is suggesting that the IPPs were supposed to submit their contracts for review and renegotiation within that particular period. I don't know what has become of that particular arrangement back then.
And that letter was signed by John Abujinapo.
Yes.
Who was then Deputy Power Minister.
Certainly.
And he also added in that letter that all agencies should cease and refrain from renewing or executing or extending or revising any power purchase agreements for conventional power plants.
I think if a finance minister actually made this point yesterday about the negotiations that had been started under these arrangements. And I remember in 2016 when we're analyzing all of these power purchase agreements that the government had entered into, about the nature of some of the agreements and the kinds of financial obligations that they were going to impose on us, particularly because the majority of them relied on us for us to provide fuel. And if we are unable to provide the fuel, whether or not we provided the fuel and whether or not we took the power, we will still pay.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to Wulugu in the northeast region, where the Wulugu Medical Center has received medical supplies, and this medical center was virtually closed because it didn't have medical supplies. And I remember one of our correspondents in that region sending me a story saying a particular woman had died because she was sent to the hospital, the medical center there, and there was virtually absolutely nothing that the authorities could do because they didn't have any medical supplies. I pointed out to him that it was practically impossible for me to directly link the absence of medical supplies to her death. We will tell the story, but we can't say that she died because of this, because we are not medical officers. We can't establish that. The Daily Graphic also published a story on it about the Woolwich Health Center having been closed on account of it not having medical supplies, and also because it was not accredited. And because it was not accredited, it could not receive any persons with NHIS cards and receive payments thereof. Now they've received medical supplies. They've also been accredited again. And the Municipal Director of Health Services, Mohammed Yakubu, says that, well, we've received these things, but these are just a stopgap measure. We must have enduring processes of ensuring that the health center continues to get the medical supplies that it needs so that it can provide healthcare services to the people in this area.
Thanks, Malik. Thanks, Raymond. Remember, today we are having Ben Boache on the show. He's the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. We are also having Ken Ashigbe, who is the CEO of the Chamber of Telecommunications. We'll be giving you the details of, the rudimentary payments, like what you are paying when you're buying fuel, what you're paying when you're making phone calls. We'll get that exact breakdown on this show today. We'll also be looking at why we have to make those payments, what has occasioned them, and like Raymond was suggesting, try to get an idea of exactly what we could have done, what we should do with these monies that we are accruing. So it's going to be a super morning show where we understand better what was presented to us yesterday and what it means for us. So you want to stay with us for those detailed discussions. Now, the online news review is brought to you by Zenith Bank in your best interest and Goyle Good Energy. When it comes to traveling with ease and comfort, Zenith Bank's wide array of MasterCard and Visa cards will help you do just that. You can conveniently use your Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards at over 33 million Visa and MasterCard branded ATMs worldwide, on the internet for online purchases and payments, in-shop for payment of goods and services at all Zenith Bank ATMs, and on local and international POS or retail outlets that accept Visa and MasterCard. Sign up today. Or if you already have one, use the Zenith MasterCard and Visa cards for a great travel experience. Go light with Zenith Bank. It's faster and smarter. Zenith Bank in your best interests. Now make your day productive by relying on quality fuel from Goyle, your 3-time CIMG Petroleum Company of the Year. Goyle Super XP and Diesel XP are additivated to enhance strong engine performance and prolong the lifespan of your vehicle. Above all, you are guaranteed extra quality with our fuel analyzer from our mobile laboratory van. Get your money's worth every day by buying fuel and lubricants from any of Goyle's over 360 service stations nationwide and experience good energy. Buy Goyle, go Ghana. Goyle, good energy. Goyle, Yenara Yedia. MyJournal9.com says subsidies caused state of emergency in energy sector. Minority shifts blame. We'll be evaluating what exactly the minority said concerning the huge debts that we have currently accrued in the energy sector, which is causing an increase in fuel prices when you go to the pump. Acting IGP cracks whip, interdicts police commander for unlawful detention. We are talking about the district's police commander for Lakeside here in Accra, DSP Eric Pate Opata. BBC.com has student deaths spark call for Sudan countrywide protests. Interesting stories there. I think some 4 secondary school children have been killed in Sudan in protests at North Kordofan states. The protests, anti-government protests that started there. All right, then we're going to take these important messages. We'll be right back. Stay with us.